Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Belknap. You did a wonderful job, and thank you for the opportunity to um, be able to sit in a different seat for a portion of our board meeting. So thank you. Next on our agenda, it's an actionable item, accountability waiver update template. I'd like to turn the time over to Assistant Superintendent Darren Nielsen to brief the board. Are you with us?
Yes, thank you, Chair Huntsman, and thank you to the board for the time you've given me on your agenda to talk about this optional waiver template. Just a little bit of a review. Back in October of 2020, as a board, you directed staff to take steps to relieve schools from federal and state accountability determinations using the 2021 assessment results. A series of things have occurred since that direction in October 2020, including the presentation to the board in January of what was called the template for addendum, and also a waiver for TSI, school identification. At that time, the U.S. Department of Education had released this template for addendum and recommended and asked state education agencies to complete that if they intended to seek relief like we had been directed by the board. They also had requested that we submit that by February 1, that interested states submit that by the 1st of February. Staff went through on your behalf the steps to make that happen, and the board voted for us to progress in January, and we submitted both the template for addendum and the waiver for TS identification. Subsequently, the U.S. Department of Education, with a change in leadership, had released on March 8th an optional waiver template, which they intended for states to be able to submit to accomplish a similar task as to what the template for addendum was requesting, only in a more streamlined fashion. And so we, staff on your behalf, contacted the U.S. Department of Education. We had a meeting on March 16th to consult with them to determine what type of recommendation we should make to you as a board regarding maintaining the template for addendum that's already been submitted in addition to the waiver for TSI identification, or whether it would be advantageous for the Utah State Board of Education to subsequently submit the optional waiver template, upon which doing the previous template for addendum would be removed, or it would be acknowledged that that was no longer being requested. At the conclusion of that meeting, staff made the determination that in order to fulfill the request that was made by the board to staff in October of 2020, it would be advantageous for the board to go forward with submitting the optional waiver template that is found in this agenda item packet. We also don't believe we need to go through, that the board needs to go through another public comment period. You may recall that during the public comment period on the template for addendum in December, we received somewhere around 370 comments, many of which contained a significant portion of text strongly supporting the board's actions in seeking relief from federal accountability. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for questions.
Hey, questions, comments from board members? Board Member Cannon.
I would like to put a motion on the floor. The motion being that we approve the optional waiver template to the Utah Consolidated Plan.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. You want to speak to the motion?
I don't need to, thank you.
Okay. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none. The motion before the board is that the board approves the optional waiver template to the Utah Consolidated Plan. All those in, so I'm not going to do that. I think we can just vote this way. Board members, please vote at this time. Here's the voting is complete, and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Darren Nielsen.